Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Total Football Talk. So, how are we all feeling today after the nonsense that we had to deal with yesterday? It wasn't a shock, it wasn't a surprise, it was just Manchester United doing what they normally do. Getting up for the big games somehow and failing to, get up for Brighton team who deserved everything from the game, a better team than us. But yeah, that's as simple as that. They were better than us, and we were poor. We made mistakes after mistakes, and that was the end of it. It was shocking. So we'll look at the news and we'll look at Ruben Amorim's press conference this morning. So the top headlines are Napoli are looking at Garnacho and they're trying to get a deal pushed through. And United District are talking about this morning on Twitter. It looks like a 50 million deal ish, in and around that figure. That he's really keen, or he's not keen. Maybe Garnacho is keen to go and play for Napoli. Because his performance yesterday was just average. Came on, didn't really do enough. Had one shot on target. I think had something like 26 passes. So he wasn't really involved in the game. He barely made any type of impact for Manchester United. So is that a player that is desperate to stay at this club, or is he just a player who's constantly now just looking for a way out? Because if he gets a way out, he goes to go and play in La Liga, he gets a chance to go and do it for Napoli, and potentially be fighting for a title. Where here at Manchester United, he's fighting for relegation. So where do we all sit with that? How do we think it's going to work? Do we think he's going to go? Is he worth 50 million? Is he worth more? Is there going to be buy-on clauses? Is there going to be a sell-on clause or buyback clause, a sell-on clause? Is that what's going to happen? And we'll also have a quick look at some of the other stories surrounding the other players. So Antony to Real Betis is hopefully going to happen this week. Then you've got Marcus Rashford and Dortmund hopefully looking to do a deal, and that's coming from Bild. And Caught Offside are talking about Richard Rios potentially coming in from Palmeiras. And the other bit of news that we have is obviously the press conference, which was staggering from Ruben Amorim. The honesty coming out from that man is something serious. He understands the problems at this club. It goes back to the Ralph Ragnick days when Ragnick was talking about open heart surgery, something that's been used a lot. I think pretty much Amorim said the same thing last night without actually using the same words. Pretty much the same thing, and that's where we are. Okay, we'll go straight back into the Napoli story with Garnacho. I think he's going to go. I think they're going to sell him. I think United need it for PSR and FFP, I believe. For the financial situation, Manchester United are going to let this kid go. Do I think it's right? We are a selling club now. We are down there with a lot of clubs that are in the lower sort of ebbs of the Premier League, because that's where we are, like at every level with the players that we have and the position that we're in. It's a pure reflection of where we are and how we are, and it looks like we're going to have to sell to buy, and that's the type of club we've become. Manchester United should never have been in this situation, but unfortunately the Glazers have destroyed the club. Ineos have come in and haven't been able to do enough to help turn it around. There's a lot of talk, a lot of hot air. We're going to do this with the stadium. We're going to try and bring in a new manager. Great. All these things great. New stadium's not going to be built for 7-8 years. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, Christ, maybe my kids will be old enough to go there and enjoy it, without me having to take them. So, I mean, that's a long way off. That's just mad. It's so far down the line, I can't even think about it. They're trying to rebuild the infrastructure within the club. Marginal gains with David Brailsford. What's actually happening? We're putting the Manchester back in Manchester. I mean, these guys talk a lot of words, but there's not a lot actually happening on the pitch. There's not enough changes that are actually taking place on the pitch, where that is the most important thing. You get it right on the pitch, and success will breed success. Winning team will bring in money and all the rest of it. But this board are, at the minute, from my point of view, they're failing. They're failing this manager. They brought him in. He said, I'm going to do it my way. And they went, okay, great. But you can't build a house with just, cement and a few trolls. You need a lot more than that. Please build us this mansion and we'll just give you absolutely the worst tools in the planet to try and use, and a few bits of rubble. Ain't going to work. It is not going to work. So how are they going to help him? Are they going to help him? And this is where it starts with Garnacho. Do they sell Garnacho and they bring in 50 million pure profit, and they use that money to bring in a couple of other players to get just to reboot the system, to re-kickstart the season, because that's what they need to do. We need to fully reboot the team, But just to kickstart this system, we need a couple of like plugins from software just to, you know, improve the system slightly to get us moving forward. Otherwise, we're in massive, massive trouble. And yeah, we ain't fighting for anything, bar we ain't fighting for mid-table, you know, mediocrity. We're trying to just avoid having to get into that relegation battle. Now, I think some of the teams below us are a lot worse. My God, I mean, Southampton, point in case they should have beat us, and we got 3 points from that game. And someone, there's a statistic going around, if United hadn't have won that game, we would be 18th now, which is just purely unacceptable. Where are any of us? Come out, tell us what you plan to do, or else shock us and go into the market and get Ruben Amorim 2 players that he really needs. And if it means, unfortunately, that Garnacho has to go, then maybe that's what's going to happen. And you know, I don't agree with it, but that's just where we are. It's just the way things are with this club. So we just have to find a way to get through this. Marcus Rashford to Dortmund is coming out from Sport Blind. They tell us from the German side that Marcus Rashford could potentially be going there for a Thursday medical on Thursday. Now, will this happen? I actually don't believe it. I believe that he's still holding out for Barcelona. So as much as I would like this to happen, because I also think it'll be a loan to buy rather than anything else. I don't think it's going to be more than that. It'll be a loan for this season and maybe an option to buy it in the summer. And maybe we get some of the wages off the book, because it's the same as Antony going to Real Betis. Same issue. Anthony's only going there for the rest of the season. Fabrizo Romano confirmed this yesterday. There was a here we go. He's going to go there. Manchester United are going to pay half his wages and possibly a bit more. Real Betis are going to carry the rest of the can. You know, he's going to go. He's going to, you know, there's going to be another space on the bench, which we'll probably have to bring a youngster in to fill, which maybe isn't such a bad thing. But again, we're depleting the squad, and if we're not bringing in players to help replenish this squad, what are we actually doing? Like, it's just farcical. So he will go. We'll take half the wage, so half the wage bill will go from that. Marcus Rashford might go. We might end up having to partially pay some of his wage. He'll maybe leave at the end of this month, because if he doesn't, he's sitting on the bench on 300 grand a week or whatever he's on. Casemiro sitting on the bench 350 grand. Eriksen sitting on the bench 150 grand. I mean, these wages are just astronomical from players who are, you know, getting paid massive sums of money and are just not at the level that Ruben Amorim needs. They just haven't got the legs. Rashford hasn't got he maybe has the legs, but he hasn't got the desire. Unfortunately, Casemiro just doesn't have the legs anymore. Eriksen doesn't have the legs anymore to cope with the strenuous kind of the sustained physicality that is required in the Premier League. The Premier League is just fast. And look at the teams that we're coming up against. They've got midfields full of brilliant players, strong runners, athletes, and we just don't have that. We can't compete, and we get run over game in, game out, week in, week out. It's just hard to watch. So I think, you know, if Dortmund can do a deal and we can get Rashford out of the club, great, happy days. But I just don't believe it. I mean, maybe Barcelona will come in, but I just don't even see that either. I just don't want to see him sitting, taking a place up on the bench, because he will have to play on the bench, because we will be short of players. So he will take a place on the bench, but he won't play, because Ruben Amorim said he only wants players. He said it yesterday when he was asked in the press conference. He only wants players that are, you know, that have got something in them to try and fight for this club. And Marcus just at the minute just clearly hasn't got that. And we really should help him find a way to kickstart his career somewhere else. Okay, so we'll look at the next little bit, and that is so we've covered Marcus, we've covered Antony going to Real Betis. The other couple of bits of stories are Richard Rios caught offside are talking about a deal from Palmeiras at 16.7 million. He's a 24-year-old. They're saying he's a winger or more of a midfielder. What I've seen of him, I think he could maybe play on the wing, but I think he could maybe play in the middle. He's athletic. He's very strong. He's very skillful. And he can drive forward with the ball. And I think we need that. Someone who can get up and down the pitch and cover the grass. Ugarte is excellent, I believe, but he didn't play well yesterday. He didn't play well in the last game. I think he's a little bit burnt out. You know, the intensity of some of the games that he's played in, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, he's done well, but I think that he's finding it difficult to keep that level of consistency game in, game out, because the games come thick and fast in the Premier League and in Europe, and I think he's finding it really, really difficult. And in the cup games, and I think he's found it, it's a bit of a shock to the system how difficult these games are, the intensity of them. And I think he's a very good player, and maybe he needed a little breather. But unfortunately, we haven't got any replacements on the bench. Casemiro can't do it because he hasn't got the legs. Eriksen, same, can't come in, can't do it for a full match, hasn't got the legs. So we're burning these players out, and we need to stop. And then we'll just look at Ruben Amorim's press conference yesterday, and obviously the big takeaway was he referred to this as the worst Manchester United squad ever. Now, other older supporters might say that we've had worse squads. I remember the 89 one a little bit, and it wasn't great. We finished 13th that year. I mean, we'll be doing well to finish 13th this year. So it'll be interesting to see how we where we end up this year. But I think it's just a case of we've got to get a couple of wins. We're Fulham next in the league away from home. Away from home is actually helpful to us because our home record is absolutely disgraceful. We've won 1 in our last 5, and that was against Southampton. And we were lucky to win that. We didn't deserve to win that. Southampton deserved something from the game. Onana kept us in that game on yesterday. Unfortunately, Onana yesterday, I seen that keeper making a spill that I didn't even see at my kids' 9-year-olds football grassroots level. I see goalkeepers, making simple saves and holding on to the ball, doing the absolute basics, trying to just catch across, and just doing, keeping it simple. Unfortunately, Onana can't even do that. He fumbled and messed up the whole scenario with that fumble. I don't even know what you call it. He dived out, and just there's no authority in him. He should be coming for the cross for the third goal, for the second goal, but the third goal, I mean, it killed us, and Onana was just poor. Awful goalkeeping. He's had some good games, he's had some bad games, he's been up and down like a bloody yo-yo. You need consistency at Manchester United. He's old enough and experienced enough. I mean, his kicking out yesterday, his pass accuracy was in and around like 51%. I mean, we bought him to be a goalkeeper who uses his feet. Jesus, oh my God! I mean, this lad couldn't find he couldn't find the middle of a maze with a map. He's awful, and I just don't know how he isn't the biggest problem though. And all those other players aren't the biggest problem. There are far deeper rooted problems in this club, and selling a goalkeeper is not going to fix it. It's something we're going to have to do. We're going to have to look at selling them. We're going to have to look at bringing in another goalkeeper. Apparently, Ruben Amorim's keen on Diego Costa. Now, we played against Porto, and again, he's made mistakes too. Like Marcus Rashford, you go back and look at the goals Marcus Rashford scored against him. He was a bit weak too, so that doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. I know he's done well for Portugal. He does command his box, and he is good with his feet, and he is a decent shot stopper. But I don't even know who's a good goalkeeper out there these days. All Black, like even Donnarumma from PSG's kind of disappeared. Mannion from AC Milan can't stay fit. Finding a good goalkeeper is very difficult these days. Someone who can do it all, play with their feet, make good saves. There are not many. Alisson from Liverpool is probably the best at the minute, and we are apparently meant to be looking for best in class. But we'll see whether any of us can live up to this best in class, and whether Sir Jim Radcliffe can put Radcliffe can actually put the Manchester back in Manchester, because I'd still love to know what the hell that's about. Okay guys, I'm going to stop rambling on here. Thanks very much for listening. That's where we are with the news, and we look forward to the next one, I think, against Rangers. Well, I'm not sure we look forward to it because it's at home, but let's pray that we can actually do something. Okay guys, thanks very much for listening. If you like the content, give me a like, please, would massively appreciate it, and subscribe too. Take it easy, and we'll see you on the next one.